Hello, great to have your company. You're watching the Small Caps podcast. There's been some positive news for Akora Resources, that's ASX code AKO, on the back of a scoping study over its Bekisopa iron ore project in Madagascar. The studies confirmed the project to be economically viable and potentially developed as a 2 million tonne per annum of direct shipping ore operation. The study estimated the project could deliver an estimated initial 5-year revenue of around $855 million, which could generate pre-tax operating cash flow of around $425 million. To tell us more, I'm joined by CEO and Managing Director Paul Bibby. Paul, you're in Noosa as we speak. Welcome to Small Caps.
Thank you, Peter. Very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, look, Noosa, these last couple of days and tomorrow is the Noosa Mining Conference. It's been a very busy 2 days and met lots of investors, past and hopefully new. It's been a busy time.
Look, before we hone in on the scoping study, can you give me some insight into the company and the flagship project in Madagascar?
Certainly. So look, Akora has been at it now for 3 years. We listed it in December of 2020. We've had 4 drilling programs. We have a JORC resource of just under 200 million tonnes. And what we see at site at Bekisopa, which is in south-central Madagascar, is a weathered zone, outcropping and weathered zone of lump and fines direct ship iron ore. Some of the rock chips have been as high as 67, but in our scoping study, which we announced on Tuesday, we're looking for a start-up grade of about 64, averaging 61% over the first initial 5 years. And then below that weathered zone is a high-grade magnetite iron ore deposit, which readily upgrades to a high-grade concentrate, low in impurities, for the green steel future.
So I guess Madagascar, we were talking off air a moment ago, how we don't hear a lot about that, and it's I guess any mining activity. What took you there? I know you've said you've been involved for the last 3 years, but did you stumble upon this, or how did it all? Was it?
No, look, my colleague John Madden founded the company in 2009. We've got 4 project areas, and the first 2 project areas that John got a hold of were on the east coast of Madagascar. And then in about 2014, he got the Bekisopa set of tenements in south-central Madagascar. And the attraction there was the ability to have a DSO startup and then, expand the operation and get into, the magnetite project and have a long life operation. Madagascar isn't well known for mining, particularly for many of us in Australia. However, there are some very significant mining operations presently producing. You've got Rio Tinto at Fort Dolphin in the mineral sands, titanium. You've got a nickel laterite project at Ambatavi, which is really going well. Those projects are difficult to start up, but that's going well. A number of graphite projects, lithium, rare earths. Most of the good battery metals are covered there at the moment, and also a lot of well-advanced exploration projects like ours in a number of commodities.
All right. Well, look, I mentioned a few of the results, or I guess some of the key takeaways in my intro in relation to the scoping study. What's been the reaction by the market so far, Paul?
Well, I've had a busy few days with the conference, but my phone hasn't stopped. I've had people ring me out of the blue who have quietly said they've been watching us and they've been waiting for the scoping study and are pleased with the approach. So that's some new people, but also existing shareholders have been very pleased that after 3 years we've got a scoping study out there, and it gives some dimensions to our Bekisopa project in terms of capital and operating costs, the logistics activity, which is one of the main ones for an iron ore project, whether it's in Western Australia or elsewhere in the world. So what is the logistics path? What is the port options? We've been able to put some dimensions on that, and people have been quite excited by the approach that we've taken.
Yeah, the report's gone into some detail around future project costs, setup costs for prospective mining activity.
Yes.
Are they in line with your budget expectations as far as budgets?
Absolutely. It's been a difficult one for us because with John's background particularly, and mine to some extent, we've sort of sketched out as we've gone how we thought the project might shape and what the capital and operating cost numbers would be, just to keep giving us a reference point and confidence to continue doing the geological work and the drilling. We've got two capital cases. One is called the low CAPEX case, slightly higher operating case, but it's a low capital entry, and it's a sensible entry point for a company that's got a 15 to 20 million market cap. So that's a $55 million US capitalisation to get going. We're using contractors for a number of the activities. Some of what we believe are the key operational assets Akora is acquiring, and we're using barging, transshipping activity to load ships at the port. So a very good approach. The other approach is what we're calling the low CAPEX approach, and that is $190 million capital cost. That's with Akora owning more of the processing, the haul trucks, and having a dedicated stockpiling area, conveyor and ship loading system at the port. So that's a far more reliable, robust process from mine to port, and a lower operating cost. So in the pre-feasibility, we will look at both of those sort of limiting low and high versions and find the optimum path that gives us the best combination of capital and operating costs to go forward with.
Okay, the scoping studies revealed initially a 5-year revenue. In terms of mining activity, you'd be looking for a bit more tenure. So is that a real goal for the company in terms of,
Excellent point, Peter. Excellent point. Like I said, we've been at it for 3 years. We've had 4 drilling campaigns, 250 shallow holes, and that's delivered 4.4 million tonnes of indicated DSO. That's some good grades. So that is the basis of the scoping study. In August of this year, we completed our 4th drilling program, infill drilling in the northern and central zones of our 6-kilometre strike at Bekisopa. That mineral resource, or those assay results, will be coming in early in the year. The mineral resource, let's say March, April of next year. And that will add another year and a half of mine life, which will enhance the economics. And further drilling, we're confident, will again add more years of DSO, will increase the revenue, as you've already mentioned, but importantly, generate cash. And that cash we can use to enhance the process path, reduce the costs, and as we look to further and future opportunities, whether it's DSO or the high-grade magnetite for green steel, high-grade iron ore concentrate, use that cash flow to fund the grinding and magnetic circuits that is required for that.
Okay, couple of things I want to sort of just hone in a second. So you're in South Central Madagascar. The DSO option is encouraging without putting words and influencing the market too much, Paul. So how close to the coast, or how far, or how close to the coast are you in terms of that direct shipping or operation?
Yeah. So look, our Bekisopa project is in the centre of Madagascar. It's very remote. The nearest village is 26 kilometres away with a couple of hundred people. So we have to create a road of 50 kilometres initially to get to the made road. That made road then goes to the national highway number RN7, and that then goes down to the coastal town of Tuliara. So all in all, 340 kilometres, which people sort of hesitate at, and so that's a long way. At the Noosa conference today, it's been good to listen to other projects and yesterday. And, I believe you're based in Perth. You know what it's like in the Pilbara. There's trucking distances there of, 450 kilometres, 600 and 800 kilometres. So 340, 350 kilometres is doable. We need to do more work as we get into the pre-feasibility study to understand, if are there any obstacles or limits in that, and what we might need to do to overcome it. But there is a logistics pathway. Yeah,
okay. Look, the other thing I want to sort of hone in on, and you have touched on it a bit, but I think I really want to stress the point here. Only 20% of the project's 6-kilometre strike length of shallow drilled mineralisation was included in the study. That's a bit of a mouthful. So there's potentially, and I do acknowledge you touched on it, but there's potentially a lot of more resource there, which in turn can increase tenure and any mine life that's associated with that on the horizon. So you mentioned drilling. I mean, it sounds like you've got a lot more drilling to do yet.
Yes, exactly. Some could say we're a bit impatient. We're going about this in a bit of a hurry. And that's because as soon as we started, it's quite interesting. People can say, yeah, we can see the grades, they're good grades, but can you get it to port? What's it going to cost? So we have got that resource, that 200 million tonne resource, from drilling 20% of the 6 kilometre strike. So that's some drill holes in the south, centre and north of that 6 kilometres. We've since added to that with some infill drilling. And the scoping study is based on the southern zone. So the southern 1.2 kilometres of that 6, where we've done the infill drilling. And you're right, in between, where there is absolutely no drilling to date, that will, we believe, deliver more tonnes and good grades from the weathered zone material. And then in the future, the fresh rock beneath that for the green steel high-grade concentrate. The exploration target at Bekisopa along that 6 kilometre strike length, where there's a very strong magnetic anomaly, has been stated by the resource guys and engineering guys is between 500 million and 1 billion tonnes. So we've still got a lot of drilling to prove up more tonnes on our tenements just at Bekisopa. And we have others not far away which we've done no work on yet.
Okay, well, between 500 million and 1 billion tonnes of resource.
Yes, is the potential at Bekisopa alone.
Yeah, okay, well, you've answered my next question. All right, so talk to me about the appetite for mining there in Madagascar. You mentioned a couple of other companies. Do you have support of local stakeholders? You mentioned that you're going to have to build a road to the nearby village to be able to connect onto the national highway, etc. So what's the mood? What's the vibe? Do you have, are they all on board?
Yes, look, it's very important. And, with my background and John's background, we have consulted with the community every time we go to site. My geological team, when they go to site to do field work or drilling, they meet with the community ahead of the program of work. They say what we're going to do. They say we're going to be here for 4 weeks. Let's get 4 teams of people a week each to give them some work and get some skills and experience. And when I'm there, I sit with the people and I say, this is what we're about. This is where we're heading over time. It's going to take a while. What are the things you expect of us? What would you like? So we have worked with them since, and I've been there since 2019. We've delivered educational and medical support to the village, some books and medicines and the like. We've provided work and skills and money for all of that, which has been helpful because it's a very remote, isolated part of the country. And in December 21, we drilled at the nearby village for water, 80 metres below surface. We hit some very fast-flowing clean water, put in a pump, a water tank, solar panels, and 5 tap outlets around the village. And so they had fresh water for the first time in their life. And within 6 months, the health of the community improved noticeably. So we've been working with them. And we're now working with villages further away than the main one at 25 kilometres from our tenements, because they also will be a source of employment in the future, and we want them to be on board. So locally, they're on board. For the past year, at each of my visits, I've met with the mining ministry. I've met with the mining minister 3 times. They've sent their teams to site twice. They see us as being a capable and experienced mining company looking to do good things. They've also learned that this just isn't a few-year project. This is a many decades project. So they're very supportive.
All right. Well, I guess we'll look with much interest first quarter of 24 on those looming drill results. But in the meantime, Paul Bibby, CEO and MD of Akora Resources, thanks for your time and thanks for joining us on the Small Caps podcast today.
Thank you, Peter. Appreciate it. And look, we've had some wonderful support, some great feedback on the scoping study. It's a milestone, and it's a milestone that we're going to build on in the coming years. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. We'll look with much, as I say, interest, and hopefully we can get you on the show in the near future, and hopefully there'll be more encouraging and positive news again. But in the meantime, thanks for speaking to us today.
Thank you, Peter. Appreciate it.